Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, TheFreeRotation Nation. We're here tonight for another episode. I am Chris, and I'm joined by Bobby, who has returned from a long stay in the jungles.
Yeah, I got the COVIDs and shit. It was spicy,
Yeah.
but glad to be back.
Congratulations.
We
You
did
made
it. We did it, Obama.
We got our technical director, Miss Angeles,
Hello.
and our legal department, all of them, Becula.
I love Dr.
She's just
Pepper
being-
cream soda. It's real good. It's real tasty.
You
Sponsor
took
us,
a drink
please.
of it and looked at it like, oh.
Ah,
So
this shit
tasty.
is delicious.
Is it good?
This
Oh,
is
I need
what-
to try it.
Yeah,
in a
it's
minute.
real good. By the way, sponsor us this drink
Can
specifically.
Bang also sponsor us too? Because I drink enough
Yes.
of these.
Also, side note, Dr. Pepper, the only soda with a degree.
Exactly.
Oh.
I was
Mis-
about to say it's the same one that's owned between Pepsi and Diet and Coca-Cola, but I
Yeah.
think that's actually Mr. Pibb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mr. Pibb flunked out.
Yeah,
True.
I think the doctor is his own thing.
Mr. Pibb is just a sir.
This
Yeah.
man got a PhD in delicious.
So we talk about that, Chris.
Speaking of delicious
PhD,
soda,
pretty hot and delicious.
Speaking of delicious liquids,
We are going to do today's episode on demons and demonology and historical demons and
oh, I love pea soup.
all that good stuff.
just in time for the holidays.
What?
Yeah. This
Yeah,
morning
it's
I
fine.
was watching Hell House wrapping presents, and I was in such a festive mood.
This episode will come out after Christmas, so it'll be fun.
Yeah. It's a reason for the season.
Oh my god, it's tasty.
The episode just turned into a sponsorship about demons and Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper, listen. We're here for it.
Yeah, we'll conjure, to help ourselves.
I really honestly should just take a picture of all of us drinking Dr. Pepper and being like,
We stand for the doctor.
yeah. We believe in science.
Maybe the doctor's a lady.
Oh,
I can still
Speaking
stand
of-
for a lady.
wow, sex is Bob's.
I'm not saying he can't stand for a lady. I stand for Halsey.
You're the
so
one
it's
that
fine.
says that you're the one that assumes people don't think women are doctors.
Yeah.
I assume a lot of things, Chris, and you keep talking
I am
like that.
technically a doctor.
Mhm.
A doctor of the law.
Good
You
job.
have a Juris Doctorate.
I sure do. I don't say doctor, my last name, for
Doctor?
a reason.
Doctor?
But,
Doctor.
I'm a doctor of love.
I'm a doctor of bussy.
Ugh.
I'm a
Speaking-
doctor of these.
Speaking of bussy, go ahead, Chris.
Demons.
I got one brewing.
So yeah, like we see a lot of exorcism and demonology in like horror movies and popular culture, and a lot of that is it's really hyped up for screen. Most of it is less, I don't know, ominous or less,
Dramatic.
yes, than the movies, and typically it's more like historically what people would consider like people with personality disorders or strange illnesses
Yeah.
were considered demonic back in the day. But and when you go back to the very, very, very earliest roots of demons, the Mesopotamians and the Sumerians had what they called the Udug, which they were demons, but they were good or bad. They didn't have necessarily designation, and they didn't really have form. They were just these entities that they had these qualities that were like that light would not come around them. They were kind of dark. They had deafening voices. They were just these formless spiritual entities that could be good or could be bad. Like you could call the good Udog to fight off the bad ones.
Oh, cool. Like
Some
a
of-
Pokemon.
Sort of. Some of the earliest writings we have in the world are from Sumer, from Mesopotamia, and from 3500 BC, and they are called the Udug Hul, and it's basically the exorcism rites for the Udug. So it was so important even back then that we knew how to fend off these bad spirits.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so like Becky and I were talking earlier, and she said she didn't believe in demons because it's a Christian thing, and I was like, no, these
Long
before. So I think a lot of people have that perception.
Well, that's
so,
what the world we live in. It's all Catholic demons and exorcism, and Constantine is kind of the where we live. You see the Catholic priests performing the last exorcisms and the rites and stuff, and you assume that's all what demons are. But historically, it's not. They have existed since as far back as people have existed, apparently, because the earliest writings we have in human history are literally instructions on how to get rid of them.
Right. And a lot of these quote unquote demonized demons that we have are actually not what you think they are.
So, like, the Christian version, so there are, and we'll get into this, but the Lesser Key of Solomon and the Key of Solomon go into the demons and their hierarchies and their rankings. And we have to get into a little Christian history or mythology or whatever you want to call it to get into this. But basically, you had the war in heaven where Lucifer rose up with a third or 2/3 of the angels, and they rose up against God.
Yeah.
The idea being Lucifer thought that he was as powerful and as worthy of worship as Yahweh, Jehovah, whatever you want to call him. There was a great battle. The angels were cast down. So upon falling to the earth realm or
Beneath it, yeah.
this plane of existence, what people seem to forget is they are still angels, like,
Yeah.
but they are not doing great things.
Yeah, a little sussy.
Right. And Lucifer is given the designation of the first, but Lucifer actually is a proper noun that just means morning star.
Yeah,
so
the
even
bright
back
and morning
before
star.
Christianity, and I think he just represented the planet Venus.
And supposedly Lucifer isn't his name. It wasn't his name in heaven. It was the name he was given upon falling, since he was the bright morning star at that point.
Yeah.
You can check out our episode on Lucifer for more information.
Oh, yeah, we did one of those, didn't
We
we?
sure did.
I talked about the show.
Yeah,
Yep.
and in the Romans, he was the son of the goddess Aurora, who was one of the 4 dawn goddesses, because there are 4 stages of dawn. And so they were like, this morning star is trying to outshine all the rest of the stars. He's trying to, make a better place for himself in heaven. So we better cast him down. But in Roman mythology, he's just a little kid with a bucket of light pouring it.
That's kind of wholesome.
But even before then, like I said, he was just a star that was Venus, but just outgrew itself. So he's the pride.
Huh.
He's also the first, by the way, in the Key of Solomon.
And that's what, when she says pride, so demonically there are, in Lesser Key of Solomon, there are 7 princes in hell. They're technically, and they're all associated with the 7 deadly sins. So Lucifer, who's associated with pride. There is Beelzebub, who's associated with gluttony. Asmodeus, who's associated with lust. Leviathan, who is associated with envy. Belphegor, who's associated with sloth. Mammon, who is associated with greed. And Satan, or Satanoth, who is associated with wrath. In this interpretation, and a lot of people get this confused, where Lucifer and Satan are the same entity or person or spirit or whatever, but they're supposedly 2 different things. Biblically, they're not really mentioned in the same pack. It's never Lucifer, the devil, and Satan. It's always you are listening to Satan. So he's described as the serpent in the Garden of Eden that convinced Eve to eat the apple, but that doesn't mean he's necessarily Lucifer or they're the same thing. It's just he is a demon that has been associated with Lucifer.
Yeah, they use the names interchangeably.
Yes, but that doesn't mean they are the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Satan actually means accuser.
Yeah.
So Satan is one of these demonized demons because he is actually God's accuser. Think of him as like God's prosecuting attorney. So Satan goes up there and is like, hey, you know what? Down here on earth, we've got these people who, they don't really care about you. They just want your blessings. And then God will say, prove it. So all throughout the Bible, it says, someone acts as a Satan to somebody. So it just means an accuser. Mm. So Satan has been seriously demonized because he's actually, if you read the Gnostic text, he's like God's right-hand person.
Yeah,
he's
supposedly
the accuser of mankind.
When they go to the pearly gates and Peter and all, he's there beside Peter, like
Right.
reading off the sins. Like he's the one that's like, you did this and this and this
Yeah.
and this and this.
Oh no.
And that's why they're saying,
Oh,
like,
no.
if you accept Jesus, like, the book is washed clean. But, he's the one who's just like, you know what? I fucking know what you did, and I'm here to punish you.
And again, we may be putting the Christian spin on whatever
Mm-hmm.
this entity's name is. It doesn't. To me, it doesn't really matter. Like, it's whatever. It's
Yeah, it is what it is.
These are the
Mm-hmm.
words our mouth makes to associate these things.
Yeah.
Leviathan, you think of great kraken. What it really means is a large serpent.
Yeah, like in the Revelations, it talks about a serpent.
The great serpent.
It's
Yeah.
the Leviathan.
Yeah.
Also, just want to point out, there's a Leviathan in a lot of mythology.
Yeah, Norse mythology.
It's,
Leviathan.
Norse
World
mythology.
snake, right?
Yorgaman, yeah. So, I mean, you see a lot of the same symbolism throughout the different religions.
Well, you go back far enough, and a lot of these religions pretty much started in a lot of the same area. So, like, you look at the Abrahamic religions with Christianity, Judaism, and Islamic or Muslim religions. Those dudes were all in the same quarter mile of each other, like hanging out. They all branched at some point, but back in the day, the stories are so similar because they're the same stories.
Yeah.
Like, you believe whatever you want to believe. If you believe in Jesus, cool. The Jews supposedly believe Jesus was around, but he wasn't the son of God. He was just a great prophet. Same thing that Muslims believe. So there's where it breaks in that. It forks off in that fashion, but these people all live together.
Yeah.
The whole Middle East, Sumer, Mesopotamia, the Aramea, these all were, I mean, it was all 20 miles of land. Like, they weren't far apart.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you even get before that, when you get before the Abrahamic religions and their interpretations of what these demons were, you have the Udug back in Sumer, where, to the point of where there's a letter, one of the kings of Sumer from 2144 to 2120 BC writes to one of the exorcists. He's like, I need you to come help me. There is a sickness in my house. And the historians wrote it down or whatever, to literally call for an exorcist to come to his house and cast out these demons. So, like, I wonder, like, I think about it like, whatever interdimensional beings, good, bad, whatever, are wandering around the ethereal planes of Earth, we've known about it as a species since we were capable of knowledge, I guess.
And based on the fact that he identified the what he needed cast out was a demon causing sickness, we're pretty sure it was Beelzebul.
Yeah. Something.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just really interesting that, and I go to the place where, like, how do they figure out how to exorcise these demons?
Yeah, because Solomon writes it down, but it's like, he enslaved them, so of course he'd know how to get rid of them. Look, trial and error. Did somebody tell them?
I have a small theory on that, but go ahead.
Well, what she's talking about is Solomon. So supposedly, the story is in the Key of Solomon, an angel came down and gave Solomon a ring. And with this ring that had inscriptions all the way around it, Lord of the Rings style, he was able to control 72 demons, and that was a specific number. He knew their names. The way demons work back in the day, they're not allowed to lie. If you ask them a direct question, they have to answer you. And I wonder if that is a direct correlation with them having been angels. Like, maybe they're just not allowed to lie. Maybe that's just not...
They're just not built with that deceit mechanism.
They can't do that. They can make you do things or lead you astray to do the things you kind of want to do anyways.
Which also gives way to the idea that they don't have a choice but to be what they are.
Yeah, well...
They were literally created into these roles.
Yes. So, supposedly he was able to call on 72 of them to help build his temple, King Solomon's temple, which is a big deal. He cast them into basically a bronze urn that had script on the outside of it that they were not allowed to escape from and that he could control them from.
It's like a genie. Kind of.
Sort of.
But my theory about that was the whole, like, him able to control, maybe it was, or like the exorcisms rites and whatnot. You said, like, you had the good demons and the bad demons way back in the day. Maybe the good demons were like, hey, we can't always be around, but you do this, can help you out a little bit.
And it may not have been even, again, it may not be, we say demons, but they may have just been
beings, spirits, whatever.
Disembodied.
Yeah, like when we get to Azmodan, I mean, he isn't what you would think of as a demon. His mom was human, his father was an angel, and he's just kind of a spirit who kind of through, a lot of effort on his own part became a leader. So it's really not what you...
Well, that, and even with Azmodan, you get into the Nephilim, which are half angels, half human, which are basically birthed by what we would consider demons, which are the succubi and the incubi. Historically, they're all male. Even the succubi are all male. The idea is that they trick you into having sex with them. You give them your seed. They transform into male form and put that seed into a female, thereby being able to give birth through basically demonic presence. But since they don't have actual
genitalia,
themselves, they basically pollute yours into creating these Nephilim or monsters or whatever.
Fair.
Which is...
I'll keep that in mind, Chris.
I mean, it's just interesting. It's just another part of it. Like,
I'm the biggest whore at the table, so I have to worry about it.
Well, I wonder, like, because all throughout history, they're from when you say the Udug and them not having descriptions of their appearance to the Christians to all the way to now, like, we imagine they are hideous beyond, vision, but like they're angels and they're fallen angels, and supposedly Lucifer was one of the most beautiful angels in heaven. So having fallen, what would change? He would probably just be him.
He'd still be gorgeous.
Yeah.
But I wonder if their appearance is what we would imagine it to be.
Mm-hmm. Like everybody sees what their ideal of perfection is.
Or horror.
Yeah.
Like if you imagine it's bugs and snakes and claws, like Constantine style, that's what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Because I don't think they're not a physical representation. It's more of a spiritual thing. Mm-hmm. Which I think when you go back to like the Udug, they would have had no idea, like, other than scary tigers and things that they were actually afraid of. They wouldn't have imagined like horrible beasts like that. Like we would. They would just say, okay, it's a bad presence.
Yeah.
Sick air. Whatever. And that's what they went with. So like it's all when you get into Solomon and Solomonic magic, you get into the his symbol, which is a 7-side star with a 6-side star inside of it. It has it's supposed to be the names of earth, air, fire, water, the north, south, east, west, all that good stuff. It's basically he designed it. It's the Lesser Key of Solomon. He may have written it, he may not have. Supposedly came out in the 14th century. Scholars say came out in the 17th century. They don't know who wrote it. It's this huge grimoire. It's really interesting, but again, it's just a big mystery. But it was supposedly a symbol for calling or controlling these demons. Which is really interesting that exists, but it's not the only place where written script can write or control demons or angels or whatever. There was another thing called Enochian. Enochian is technically the angelic script, which they also said could control. It would give you angelic protection, or you could call the angels to help you by writing it or pronouncing it correctly. Also, supposedly what drove Aleister Crowley mad was his mispronunciation of Enochian, because he was really interested in it. And again, it was a language that was revealed, quotation marks, to, I think his name was James Key in the 14th century. He was an Englishman. They started writing it down. Said an angel came to him in the night and told him, this is how you call angels. This is how you get angelic protection. Here are the letters of the Enochian alphabet or whatever. And he wrote it all down. Again, don't know if this is right or not. Just this is the story. I think it's super interesting that there are two separate instances where a divine or forgotten language can control what would be supernatural beings. We just don't have that ability anymore. But apparently Solomon did, supposedly.
Yeah. Well, and to me that correlates back to demon number 6, Belphegor, who gave mankind discoveries. So he'll come and be like, hey, Becky, you know what? Here's an idea, and it's a fantastic idea. And you're like, oh my God, I think I can decipher this ancient language now. What would be great is if I built something where everybody else could. And then I would get rich. And so then what he does is he twists your discoveries. And like if you don't pursue his things, he like drives you insane.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he also taught women how to take care of themselves. But he tempts by laziness. He's his thing is gluttony. So he tempts you into being gluttonous and lazy by giving you ideas. But I also wonder if he didn't
It's a weird weird contradiction of sorts.
Well, I
like,
think he's
man, I
also
have an
the-
idea. I will do nothing with it.
So all these demons had specific things that they were demons of. So we have like the patron saint of travel, which is like Saint Michael or whatever, or Saint Christopher. These were also the demons that had their. So he was also the demon of forgotten or hidden treasures.
Yeah.
So like he could tell you where these treasures were,
The easy way to get rich quick.
but you would also have to, again, you had to summon him,
Yeah.
answer. He would have like questions. You had to know his name, and they also have very specific symbols for each one of these demons. They all have their own, just like the Haitians and their beliefs. They all have very specific written out symbols. But you had to know his symbol, his name, and then you had to be able to answer his questions that he would ask you, and then he would be able to help you.
Yeah. Well, and he is gluttonous to constantly want. There's get rich quick schemes. And
Oh my god, it's a Mary Kay agent. That's what it is.
Fuck. Oh, I get it now. That's funny.
What's another one?
Cutco.
What's a Sensi's?
Cutco.
Mary
cut-
Kay.
I'll say it's an Avon agent. How about that?
that oil that starts with a D that.
Oh,
cheese?
Daterra?
Dick.
Yeah.
Dick oil.
Yes.
Hi, I'm your dick oil salesman.
It's like snake oil. That's really what it comes down to if you think about it.
Yeah.
But like your multi-level marketing Nexium
Any
bullshit.
MLM. You can just say MLM.
That would be Balfagor right there.
Oh my god, I didn't know Mary Kay's agent, Mary Kay's founder was a freaking
We're all
demon.
agents of chaos. But that's what I'm saying. What your idea of evil, you got to get these preconceived evil notions out.
Well, that's why I've always had. Okay, I understand the historical context of all of this. This is why I just don't believe in the idea of demonic versus angelic.
Well, and
entities.
interestingly enough, the word Satan wasn't even embraced by Christianity until 2 centuries ago.
It wasn't. It was. They always referred to him as Lucifer or some sort of other entity.
The
Satan
devil.
wasn't. The
A lot of times
devil
they
was
just
it.
said the
The
devil.
devil.
Yeah, the devil made me do it, and then Satan became a thing. I think when he started getting depicted in what's Faust's
Mephisto.
Mephisto and stuff like that. So
Memphis,
it's like so a lot of this is like newer stuff. I mean, listen, I've lived in the pagan world for so long that it's hard for me to like picture it because at the end of the day, like what they're saying are demonic entities are not. What you've described like Nephilim are also giants as they've been described in Norse mythology or fairy folk.
Yeah,
Like they all have a different designation.
I've said this before. All of these things are just the same.
Well, they're just stories handed down, and what you end up with is the oral tradition written down after X amounts of generations.
yeah.
So, like, it's like the Great Deluge. Like, there are flood myths throughout every society on Earth because there have been great floods. Like, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
Now, do I believe that Yahweh exists? Yes. Do I believe Odin exists? Of course I do. I believe in them all.
Well, it's always been funny just because like the story of like the idea of hell, you can also kind of run it back. Can't speak today. Run it back to Celtic mythology. The Tuatha De Danann were people who used to live on Earth and then were run underground when mankind became more powerful, and they are the things that can tempt you into doing bad things. It's the fairy folk.
That's just a really big word.
Yeah. And
There you go. So,
well, Chris made a reference to things we see in pop culture, but I'm sure that everyone's seen The Craft.
Sure.
Iteration.
Yeah.
But the very first one where they prayed to Mammon, who, by the way, is number 5 in our demonic hierarchy. He is the god of greed, and I think he's interesting because he just reminds me of a dragon. Like when you hear about him, he's got his big earthly hoard, and he, obsessively guards it.
yeah.
But he's not in Constantine, if you ever read those comics or seen the movie. It is the name they give to Satan's son, is Mammon, but that is not. It's just, they're just throwing names out there.
Some
Or you
people,
look at Diablo. Look at the game Diablo.
Mammon actually isn't in Diablo.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it kind of is picking and choosing
Yeah, they
in
just
pop
throw it
culture
out
what you
there.
want to see.
Some people think Mammon and Beelzebul is the same thing. But by the way, interesting fact about Beelzebul. His name is Beelzebul, but the Jews, to mock him, named him Beelzebub because it belittles him.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a god that goes back. He's probably one of the oldest, other than Lucifer.
It's
And
probably-
he also is from Venus, is represented by Venus.
Yeah, Beelzebub was probably Baal, and probably Balthor, and probably who they were sacrificing children to back in the day, back in Acadia.
And Also, if you go back to like the very first scriptures of any sort of Christianity, Baal or Baal, is the one that Yahweh had to overthrow. So
I'm also really proud of you for saying all the demonic names, even though you hate saying the demonic names, by the way.
I don't hate it. I just don't want to bring their attention to me when I have no desire to ever go back into that.
Don't worry, I'm working on my Enochian.
Yeah.
You're gonna be all right.
And I feel like when it comes to that, I think it depends on your meaning behind when you say it. Like when you're saying an academic sense, we're fine. But when you're trying to put like power and stuff behind it, that's
why you can say Macbeth outside of the theater.
Well,
that's, oh my God, I wouldn't.
And that's part of the rules when you read like the Legacy of Solomon is it's Solomonic magic. They teach you how to summon demons. They say do not summon demons. Like unless you know what you're doing, don't bother.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Exactly. I think it is like you're think of like Dragon Con and you're in a lobby. But if somebody's trying to get your attention or just says your name X amount of times, you might overhear it. Yeah. And I don't want to be that voice in the void that they might overhear and be like, oh, I'm going to go fuck her life up.
I was reading, I think it was called The Rite. It's like a book about exorcism and stuff. But they made a really interesting analogy. It was like when you're like constantly saying demons and interacting and trying to do that kind of shit. It's like back during World War I when you had the trench warfare. But when you snipers would wait.
Look for cigarettes.
Let their cigarettes, and then when you let that little smoke, boom, yep, there you go.
Cherry in the dark.
Funny enough, Beelzebul is associated with World War II. Oh. He's also called Lord of the Flyers or Lord of the Flies.
Yeah.
Oh.
So when you think about that, I mean,
the whole pig's head thing makes sense now too.
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah. Well, my favorite scares the crap out of me, and it's number 7. I think you referred to it as Leviathan, but a lot of people might recognize the name Abaddon.
Abaddon?
Yeah.
Oh, I see it. Oh, which one's that one?
Doom, destruction. Like, it's a place, but it's also... Okay. I gotta tell you something interesting. Sure. Some people believe, like, there's a sect that believes that Abaddon is Jesus after he came back. Because
oh my God, like he was the zombie version? Like he's undead?
I'm sorry, Abaddon's 4.
Oh.
So I know after his resurrection, so because so it brings about like eternal doom. Just like Leviathan is a world eater. So people think that when Jesus died, he came back as an Abaddon because he's bringing destruction when he comes back. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think, no, Abaddon was just there when he resurrected. Like, was in the same tomb with him. But yeah, Abaddon is a place that's by Sheol, which, I mean, that word goes all the way back to Sumerian text, which means hell, if you want to. But the place under it is Abaddon, and it's where the people go to be punished for the lost. But I also think it's the person. But it's just utter destruction. The end of all things.
The void.
There's a reference in Revelations that...
I mean, Gandalf the Grey became Gandalf the White.
He was always the White.
He was.
He's a watcher. He's not even human.
Yeah, that's all.
He osmosis our
You know what? We should do an episode on the crucifixion and the Spear of Destiny and the chalice and track those things.
The 3 days in the tomb.
Yeah.
If we do anything about Jesus coming back, I get to talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure because in one of the parts, they're looking for the parts of Jesus.
I told you Bobby liked JoJo's Bizarre
love
Adventure.
I never said he didn't. I just said it's disgusting.
You don't like JoJo's? Oh, we'll talk about that later.
They spit a lot.
They do. That's fair.
Also, Spear of Destiny, Tuatha.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying, all this, the chalice.
All goes to Hitler.
Lord Jesus. Hitler came after all of this, right? Like, that was later.
Yeah, but he wanted the Spear of Destiny.
I agree,
some people think he found it.
And then lost it.
Was Hitler the chosen one? Like,
he lost, so fuck him.
True. Wasn't his spear told it was a bad destiny?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you're not worthy to wield it.
What about No, I'm not going to make that joke. We're actually having serious conversations right now. I'll make that joke later.
Demons.
And demons.
Now we're back to me.
Yeah.
We've given up on fucking JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and
Maybe, Chris, maybe.
Well, that was like if we talk about Jesus.
Oh,
like,
you said
that
pop
episode.
culture.
Yeah.
I hate to say JoJo's is pop culture. Unfortunately.
I don't think it has too much demonology in there.
Well, stands can be considered demons. And
Oh, you want to talk about the Da Vinci Code? I'm just kidding.
All right, well, can we not? I'll
Dan
cry.
Brown.
Anywho, soul. So a lot of our modern day depictions of demons are the Catholic version, where biblically, there are demons in the Bible. One embodies a pig, which Jesus forces to drown itself. He casts demons out of a dying man. It's just, they do exist biblically, and they're not, I don't think they're really named, other than when Jesus, he makes one of the rules is the demons are not supposed to give you their name. You either know it or you don't, but you can force them, apparently. So when he asked the demon his name, I think it was when it was in the pig, before he caused the pig to drown himself, the demon's response is, "I am legion, for we are many."
Yeah.
And then he drowns, and the demon goes wherever drowned pig demons go. I don't know. Look, man, I'll make the rules. But I am legion, for we are many. And this gets into the seven princes of hell we were talking about are all... And it's weird to think about when you think about the Great War in Heaven and the fall. The angels were subdivided into classes. The cherubim, the archangels.
There's so many classes.
Seraphim, all that stuff. And they were ranked in a hierarchy much like the military. So when they fell, they got back into kind of that sort of order, where they wanted to keep their either rank in heaven that they held before, or their new rank. So they each control. So it's like Lucifer is basically the president of hell. There are more presidents in hell than one, but they each reside over their own little... Hell is also apparently split up like a compass into sections.
Yeah.
So, and it's not like Dante's Inferno where it's the seven rings. It's like a big city that has east, south,
I was
and
about to
northwest.
say,
Yeah.
I was about to say the Satanic Panic did have it correct about the demonic stuff, because in Dungeons and Dragons they have it split up in the set, like they call it the 9 hells, but you have all different kinds of where you end up going.
Yeah.
But they're each like, there are, presidents, generals, archdukes in hell. There are, and it's all split up to where like, Mammon has 72 legions of demons under his control.
Asmodeus has 5.
Yeah,
Or
some of
25.
them have some of them have like 2, some of them have 104.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get into the Ars Goetica, which is the first half of the Lesser Key of Solomon, it's just called a different thing. I don't like the rules. It goes through specifically this demon, his symbol, how many legions of other demons he controls, and they're considered lesser demons if they don't have a name. But I wonder if they're just like, this is my platoon of workers, like, this is how many I'm in charge with. I don't know if they're, when they use the word demon, I don't know if they mean like demon or like disembodied spirit that is obliged to work for X, Y, or Z.
Yeah. That's like neutral or whatever.
I don't even, it's just, this is who's on his side. This is how many of the fighters he controls when the great battle comes, because they split back up like military style. So you have infinite, they have counted and recounted, and again, it depends on who's doing the counting as to how many demons there are. Total, you get anywhere from 72 up to, 20,016. The numbers are just so far out there because who the hell knows, man?
Yeah, like how would we ever know?
Yeah, like how do you do a demon census? How does that work?
Yeah, every 4 years when a newly elected president comes in, they do a census
And
on
I
where you're living.
also wonder, like, Elisha became Metatron. He became like the most powerful archangel. So what's to say that, you're not, somebody doesn't go to hell and become an archdemon?
Yeah.
Like, we don't know.
Yeah, we don't. Like, we know. So Lucifer and Michael were supposedly like 2 of the strongest, most powerful archangels. Lucifer fell, Michael, all that good stuff, Gabriel. But when you look at the different names of the angels who have fallen, so Azael, Azrael, these were all powerful angels that have fallen to earth, but they didn't.
Samael.
Yeah, they didn't want to give up their
name.
Well, not just their name, but their position,
Yeah.
like their rank. So they're still corporals in this weird army that is trying to, and the idea is that they're trying to foster souls for when the great battle happens again.
Yeah.
So like there's this weird image we have of when you go to hell, there's a lake of fire, and you burn for eternity. Well, that comes technically after the war, I believe, when you're cast in the lake of fire. At this point, they're supposedly trying to get souls to help them in battle when it comes. So you probably wouldn't torture those people.
No, you can script it. Like, hey, you're down here. You work for us now.
Yeah. You shanghaied them into your army. And that's it's weird for me to think about it that way, that like, yeah, you probably are just a worker in the army when you die. Like,
well, I was gonna say, it's like what Angie said when Elijah became Metatron. You know, he was a dude and rose the ranks up and became an archangel. I mean, it's the same thing in hell. Like, hey, you're pretty good at this, man. You get a little bit of an upgrade. You're a lieutenant now, man. You grow good.
Multi-level marketing.
Well, I think the problem with that is you're dealing with that idea of humans arising to the rank of angels, even fallen angels. I don't think that's
Well, they're not going to get like to that point, but like, you can get up. Like, if you're a big enough piece of shit, you can probably move up.
Oh, man, he's got 72 legions of other demons. I don't know how you're getting ahead of those guys. That's a bunch of them.
You fight them, man. Go shoot them up.
That would actually be the cooler story to me, other than like the David and Goliath story. Like, those are boring. But like having a guy who's like, "Hey, my name is Joe. I used to be a plumber, but I murdered somebody one day and I accidentally hit him with my car while I was drinking, and now I got to fight these demons."
There is a book series.
It's called Spawn.
Yeah.
Oh,
that too.
What you just described is called Spawn.
Oh shit!
And the book series, Sandman Slim series.
The what series?
Sandman Slim.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, kinda. He fights in an arena and grows and then gets out of hell, but it's interesting.
Huh.
Yeah.
You described Spawn, which was terrible, but it was a movie with John Leguizamo in it.
Well, we're there.
Yeah, he played the clown.
He did. I thought you were going with, like, you wanted Joe to, like, have to climb the corporate ladder in hell and hopefully one day aspire to be a general. And I'm like, I don't think they're going to promote him.
Oh my gosh, have you ever seen that cartoon where it's like there's an office with the 3 workers in hell?
Oh, it's an Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like Lucy, the dog.
Yeah, the devil.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
I freaking love that show.
H. John Benjamin as her dad, which was great, because that guy's great in everything.
I mean, I would be down for that too. Like, he just works very hard. He's very unassuming. And one day somebody gets fired and he's like, buddy, you've been here. You've reached your 5-year mark. Here's your pin. You've gotten a executive.
Here's your pin.
I think about that, like, the way I think about it is, like, if Azrael controls 68 legions or whatever, what are they doing?
That's what I'm about to say. Like, you keep talking about these, like, 63 legions of demons. What the fuck are they doing if they're just waiting
Apparently
for the war to come back?
They're all around you.
I think,
like, recruiting.
That's what I think they're doing. I think they're the ones that are, like, kind of...
So they're Jehovah's Witnesses.
Well, I think they're floating in and out of the spiritual plane, trying to find a host or whatever for the general.
Yeah.
I don't think he has time to be doing all that because of all the
because why would Legion be? Because they said we're Legion.
I am Legion for we are many.
Yeah, and they're looking for recruits.
I think that's what they're doing, is trying to find, like, suitable hosts for actual higher up.
And to, like, do nefarious stuff to touch the world, because they probably can't reach out their talent and touch it.
Well, again, they're not allowed to lie to you, and if you believe them in this whole idea, but they can only give you ideas of things you already want to do.
Yeah.
So I look at stuff like, what's his name?
I don't know. What's his name?
Chris. Oh boy, that killed his wife and kids and put him in the oil tanker. Chris. Ware or something like that.
Chris Watts?
Watts.
Yeah.
Watts?
Watts.
I think about that, and I think this was a dude, had a good life, was just super chilling,
just for one day.
One moment. Like, he had 2 hours of just hell. What caused him to snap like that?
And when you think that he said in his own words, he didn't kill his daughters the first time. They come into the room, their eyes are bloodshot and bleeding and bulging out.
Them.
And he just does it again. No, he puts them in the car. It's worse. He puts them in the car and then kills them.
One of them he dumps alive.
Yeah.
So, like, I wonder, like, I really do, like, I get that
tonight.
People have psychotic episodes, you snap or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a super normal life.
Right.
Nothing was out of the ordinary, not like a history
They were successful. His wife was successful.
Like,
doesn't make any sense.
Did something step in and take over for 3 hours?
Right.
Like, I know you want to be with this new girl. I have a way.
Yeah.
And
is that guy? Gotcha. Okay.
Like maybe he just stepped aside and let whatever it was take over.
Just let me handle
let me
this
do
way.
this. You'll get scot free. Let me do this for you.
And again, I'm not saying that people aren't. I know people are capable of doing those sorts of things as human beings. You'd think there would be signs leading up to a middle-aged guy with a wife and a couple kids before there's a snap murder.
Yeah.
Like, family annihilators almost always just kill themselves. They're not doing it to get away because there is no escape at that point.
Yeah.
He thought he was going to get away with it. And there's no way you could think, oh, this is just going to be fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Was this the guy that was in Indiana and shit? Was that or I'm thinking of another guy that killed his family?
This guy was in one of the Carolinas, wasn't it?
I'm thinking another guy that killed his family.
I mean, there's a lot of guys that killed.
That's why I was confused. Like, but it's the alternate guy. But going back to your thing about like, well, there's all these demons and shit. Well, haven't they risen up yet? A lot of times in the books and stuff that like they all the generals and shit in hell actually there's a lot of infighting and stuff. And the whole deal is once whoever wins will fucking take control and then.
I see.
Yeah,
so it's like you gotta whoever you recruit first.
Yeah,
or the most recruits you have.
What book is this?
It's in a lot of like fiction and stuff, and then it's like also talks about in the Bible a little bit like demon, like they don't all get along, like they don't. But it's like once they,
I don't think the angels do either.
Yeah, once all the demons are in like one thing, that's when Judgment Day. That's when they all rise up.
If there are classes of them, you probably wish. If you're a seraphim, you probably wish you were an archangel.
Yeah.
If you're an archangel, you probably don't want to be knocked down to cherubim. Like, it just is what it is.
And these demons, they're the worst embodiments. Well, supposedly, if you go by Judean Christian mythology, so like they're gonna be jealous, prideful, all that shit. So it's really hard to get like all those guys to like focus on one thing.
True.
They're like kids with ADHD.
Oh, I'm okay. You know what? We can make synonymous with different things. Yes.
Children of the worst.
I'm making multi-level marketing jokes, so.
Also, when you think about like what powers gods, it's always been all throughout history, gods are powered by people's faith. Yeah. So how do you kill God? The war is waged with people. Your soul is the battleground. The less people who believe in these gods, the more power they have, and they'll eventually die.
Joke's on them. Paganism is making a huge comeback in the 21st century.
And the god Yahweh will die. Do you understand? That war will be won. I believe that I don't dismiss any of it. I believe that this is a spiritual war just like all the others. Keep it open mind. I do think that a monotheistic God took over heavens. It's like, no, I'm the shit. And all of these lesser gods and angels were cast down. To be forgotten, but they're not forgotten.
That's why everyone should read American Gods by Neil Gaiman. That book is amazing.
Yeah, I was
not as powerful because they're not given that power. They're not given that faith and belief. Yeah. But if they can turn you away from powering that with your belief,
it's kind of like Tinkerbell.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
Well, there's power in belief. Yeah. There genuinely is. These healing preachers, they're not healing.
It's you.
It's you. It's
You're
all of
healing yourself.
Yeah. And all this power. If you stand outside and look, it's like you can almost see the white aura that surrounds it. I mean,
I tell people that all the time I do wildlife management for a living, and people do stupid things to keep snakes out of their house a lot. And they'll say, "Well, I heard black pepper works really well." I'm like, "Have you seen any snakes?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, it's working for you."
Yeah.
I get if you believe it's working, it's not hurting anything, and it makes you feel better. Godspeed.
Yeah.
Psychosomatic response is a real thing, and you can heal yourself that way. Again, they've proven it through, medical tests with placebos. Like,
you believe hard enough, you get better.
This pill right here will fix you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I feel better.
You're right.
Yeah.
Turns out you were just having low sugar that day.
Or you're a machine that's built to basically recuperate itself.
Yeah. When it's the same thing, it's like somebody who just feels a little bit unwell. It's like you have cancer and you have 2 weeks to live, and suddenly, bam, nosedive, they're dead.
That's why I don't go to
doctors. It the fact that they thought they were like
they accepted it?
Yeah, it's like, I guess I'm dying.
And they gave their body permission to just quit.
So when we talk about these battlefields, it's literally happening all around you.
Truly, the biggest battlefield is love.
Yeah. And Pat Benatar. Anyway. But no, this was just an idea that I was thinking about, like with the demons and the angels and Enochian and the Solomonic magic and Enochian magic and basically all Middle Eastern and even to this day, pagan magic is it's all based off Solomonic magic. Every bit of it. He was basically the godfather of all the crap you see in the cult of the craft. And I've got a pentagram. Yeah, you can kick rocks, asshole. Not you specifically if you have a pentagram, because I probably love you. I do not. But that's what I'm saying, is like he is like the great godfather of Wiccan and pagan and all this magic stuff you hear about. Basically everything that's not Chinese magic is Solomonic magic at its roots, which is weird.
Mama, teach me some of that Chinese magic. That's the meme is, listeners, my mom's Chinese, so it's funny.
So you're just not included in any of this?
No. I will be the one that saves you all.
I just pictured you like Shang-Chi.
I watched a lot of Jackie Chan Avengers growing up. I want to grab those little talisman things and just like
Shang-Chi the Drunken Master.
No, he's the one from Marvel.
Shang-Chi's the new one of that Marvel movie. Then.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
I do love Drunken Master though.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies of all time.
I'm gonna be Drunken Master Jackie Chan, but with the talismans from the cartoon show.
I fucking love that cartoon.
So all right, TheFreeRotation Nation, we love you. We'll see you next week.
Hey, Beckles, where can they find us?
That was very abrupt. We just ended.
Yeah, well, we talked a lot.
You can find us on Facebook at
Pornhub.
the
OnlyFans.
You know, I hadn't missed this.
Spotify.
I hadn't missed that part. You can find us.
Feedondicks.com.
We also are a multi-level marketing ploy, just so you can also follow us. And we're really starting the demonic overlord.
For $2,200, I will let you in on our secret. So just reach out.
For $22, you could also pee on me.
You just said $22. He said $2,200.
$22 is what my normal bar tab is. Yeah, go ahead and pee on me. They're gonna pay my bar tab.
You can just pee on him when he's drunk. He won't know the difference.
It tastes the same.
We'll just sleep in.
You missed this. Everyone missed this. You had 3 weeks or a month of like constructive conversation, and now Bobby's back.
Hell yeah!
Hell yeah!
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey, bye.
Love you. Happy
Don't summon
holidays.
demons.
Yeah. Merry Yom Kippur or Kwanzaa or Christmas
And
or
Hanukkah.
or
Remember, guys,
Festivus.
Jesus is the reason for the season.
Happy Yule.
Yule. That's one of those things people say.
Not really so much anymore. But
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.